Long Beach State head coach Chris Acker. Chris, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on, fellas? How you guys doing?
Great,
Good.
great. Really good, really
Good.
good. I know last year did not go like you thought your rookie year coaching in the Division I ranks would go, but it takes time, and none of us are patient. I know you coaches are not a patient group by nature. Um,
Yeah.
how difficult was it, Chris? And what did you learn? What was the biggest thing you learned from that maybe you weren't prepared for?
Um, I wouldn't say I wasn't prepared for it because I think in this business, if you're not striving to finish first, then you're what are we doing it for, right? And so I think the entire year, I maintained my delusion in the sense that we could get over the hump, and we could win the league. That was my mentality. That's always been my mentality. Anybody that knows me understands that, it's a championship or bust every year. What I learned about myself is that, I was able to motivate my entire program, and I had a great staff around me that, echoed my uh, conversations that I was having individually with guys. It permeated through the program that we had to stay the course, and when we needed to pivot on our energy or whatever was going on in order to get our guys to come back and respond the next day, I think we found critical moments in doing that, that kept us in the battle every single time we stepped on the floor as a team. And we finished the way that we needed to finish every game. We had the right mentality going into every game, and I think we fought to the bitter end of every single game. And I think in that sense we set a foundation for how we wanted to compete and what we wanted to be about as a program.
A lot of times when coaches take over a program where the cupboard was pretty much empty, you have a blank slate. And then oftentimes by year two, it happens all over again, where you have a blank slate and an empty cupboard. You have one returner coming back. He was a starter for you, so that's good. But does it feel like you're starting all over again and you get a redo and an opportunity to employ what you've learned in that year to redo it all over again?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily feels like we're starting all over again because the staff had a year together. And I think when you have continuity as a staff, that gives you an unbelievable opportunity to sit down, talk, go through things, get their ideas on how I can lead them better, how I can put the staff in a better situation to be successful on the court and empower them as leaders of our program as well. So from that standpoint, I think having that year under our belts together and understanding each other's, idiosyncrasies and things that were going to, force us to think outside the box a little bit. I think we did a great job of that this summer. And I think going into this year with the players that we have, I think that sets the foundation for knowing exactly what we wanted our guys to understand going into the summer. And in fact, we had a real summer. And so I think we got further along from a basketball standpoint than we ever got close to last season. So we feel like we're further ahead. But obviously with personalities and different things from that standpoint, you are starting over in terms of getting to know your guys. And obviously the more we get to know them, the more we can push on certain buttons to get them to respond quicker, to respond better, and make adjustments that are going to be critical for us throughout the course of the season.
All right, I love what you did in the portal. I think honestly, you never know, obviously, until you get these guys under the lights. But I think what you did was you were methodical. You got some guys that produced at a pretty good level. You took a chance on maybe somebody at a high major level, hopefully I'm saying it right. And Peter Metstorovich, is that?
Yeah, that's close. Hey, that's close enough. I just call him Pitar. So
all right, Pitar, we'll call him that. Who played as a freshman at Syracuse. You got Isaiah Lewis, who came from Little Rock, and now he's going to be paired with his brother. He averaged almost 10 a game and 3 assists a game. Shaquille Brender was really good in Manhattan a couple of years ago. He led the Jaspers in scoring. Rob Diaz comes in and he put up some numbers. what was, when you were trying to put together this group, what was the priority? What was the main thing that you were saying, like, to your staff, we got to have this when we go to the portal?
I think we learned a valuable lesson last year with having Devin being the primary ball handler, creator, leader, and assist and points. We needed to be able to do it by committee in terms of creating opportunities for each other offensively. And, you play against good teams like Irvine, who defend you, UC San Diego, who has their matchup, and you play against these different teams in our league, and you realize, right away that we don't have enough playmakers. And so playmaking was a critical part of our process in evaluating, what we wanted our roster to look like. And like you said at the beginning, you never really know. We tried to use the analytics, Ken Palm, and all of these different analytics to figure out how the guys we brought in impacted winning. But that was a major criteria for us. Not guys that could just score, but guys that were comfortable making plays for other people. And we think we did a good job with that.
Well, the one returner you have, starter, I'm going to try to pronounce his name, although I know you call him DMX. Derek Michael, is it Xaviero?
Xaviero.
I was close. I
Close.
tried.
Close.
Yeah. I know he's your returning starter. I know he was like 5 a game, about 7 boards. I think he got you a block or 2 every game. He's a pretty good force. Are you relying a lot on him to come back, or how is he blending in with all these newcomers that you brought back or brought in?
Oh, DMX has been awesome. I think last year was his first real year of playing in games, and so that'll bode well for him this season, having had that experience and getting coached hard and being relied upon. Guys don't realize that you can transfer and try to find new places, but if you've never really felt the energy of a coach that's relying on you, that's a different type of energy. And so he felt that all season last year. And so, in terms of relying on him as a player, I think I'll rely heavily on his experience and use him as an example of a guy that, can talk to the guys about our temperament as a staff throughout the course of the season and learning, how to deal with us as coaches. And so from that standpoint, we'll rely on him heavily. And as a player, he's blending in really well. I mean, we have some really experienced guys. You mentioned Peter. We have DeMarshe Johnson. We have Leo, who came in from France also. So he's in constant competition and battles every single day to put himself in position to have the opportunity, potential to start this season as well. But, there's good competition in practice. And if I had to say one thing about where we were last year versus this year is, every single day that I was in practice, I was the barometer every day because we didn't have guys that could hold each other accountable because we just didn't have the bodies. And this year we have the bodies. So practices are spirited and competitive every single day. And so that's what I've been most excited about is, I can kind of coach basketball and let the players compete and, set the tone every single day as far as separating themselves as players.
Hey, Chris, so many of the high majors, this, are going the portal route. You were able to bring in a freshman in Dallas, Washington. I remember seeing him on the Nike circuit at EYBL last year. 6'10", high upside, Santa Margarita High School. I think he was a top 100 kid coming out. How much do you think the changing landscape enabled you to get a kid like him? Because again,
oh man, it's
how different it is. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. I think that is, you couldn't articulate that any better. I think there's, in this current climate, you're gonna miss on guys at the high major level. Not necessarily miss, that's not the right term, but you're gonna evaluate trying to stay relevant with upperclassmen versus developing freshmen, right? And so for us, we have the opportunity to find freshmen like Dallas, like Gavin, that can actually impact our program as freshmen and actually get on the floor. And if it was the old landscape, we probably wouldn't have these 2 freshmen on our roster. And so that's exciting for us. So, yeah, I couldn't be more thrilled to have Gavin on our roster because of those reasons.
Will he have a pretty big role? Is he fighting for a big role as a freshman, or kind of how do you see that playing out?
Yeah, he's definitely fighting. I mean, he's fighting every single day. I mean, he comes from a program where he was well coached by Jay Bell over at Santa Margarita. And, Jay Bell's done a great job of preparing him. And, the funny thing about Dallas is, because of his size, athleticism, he got beat up in high school playing the center position. And so now we've put him out on the perimeter a lot more actually. And he's learning how to find his mismatches. He's learning how to, play on the perimeter and do different things and utilize his true skill set, which is his ability to shoot the ball, get to his spots. And, he's a deceptive passer. And because of his experience playing on the block, we're going to use that to our advantage as well. And yeah, he's done a tremendous job fighting. And, again, he's competing against Peter every day, who has Division I experience at Syracuse, who's been in some battles. And so, again, I think our roster is, by committee, we have a very competitive group that is going to, really show well this season.
It's great. I know your shooting last year you were probably pleased with. You guys were okay there. Defense and rebounding is probably something that you guys are looking to attack. But how do you do this? Chris Acker, nobody else, just you. I know as a coach you're always questioning yourself. But I know in December you guys had won 5 straight games. And then down the stretch you had a string of 1-possession losses. How does the Beach prevent that? And what do you do to help prevent that with this new group?
I think you just said it. I mean, we got a new group. We talked about it earlier. I think our depth, it's about attrition in basketball, right? And it's like over the period of time of a game, teams are going to have breakdowns. And we lost 1-possession games because we had a lot of breakdowns throughout the course of the game that led us to losing a game by 1 possession. I mean, we were up 15 to Irvine at one point in the second half, and they came back and beat us in overtime. And that's a credit to Irvine, obviously, having that depth and having the ability to stay the course throughout the course of the game. But those are the things that we addressed this offseason, is knowing that, it goes hand in hand with, we have accountability on our roster. If guys aren't getting it done, you have another guy coming in for you, right? And you have, the competitiveness in practice to understand, hey, you got to pick these things up defensively right away, right? And so, when you have that over the course of a season, great habits begin to get built. And then, that's what happens in the course of the game, where you saw 3 or 4 breakdowns in a row last year, or I was out of timeouts, to start the second half the time last year. We will have more timeouts. We'll be able to be more organized. We can address scenarios in practice every single day as we start rolling into the season. Just things that we weren't able to do last year that, we'll be ahead of this year.
Well, Chris, great seeing you, man. Good luck in year 2. I know it'll be a heck of a lot better than year 1. And hopefully we'll get a chance to see you in person soon.
I look forward to it, man. Thank you guys so much. And I appreciate you guys doing this, giving us an opportunity to talk about our program. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. Chris Acker,
All right, guys.
second-year head coach